What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, and today we're going to be reacting to more of your comments. A big up to each and every one of you that have interacted with us on YouTube over the past week. But let's get into these comments and see where we go.
So the first one is from Maya page 2707, who is commenting on Brian Daigle's fan cam after the West Ham game. They say, I completely disagree with Brian. One, Basuma is not consistent versus Bentancur. He'll have a howler in a game or two. Yes, he got a goal, but wasn't excellent. I think Bentancur's performances against United and Brentford and such were a lot harder to do, as he was the only defensive midfielder the whole game and nothing got by him. Interesting take there. Does he have a point that, I don't know if it's a he or she, but do they have a point... second half, Basuma had that bit more protection, didn't he, with Papsar next to him. Bentancur against United and Brentford was pretty much doing that, with Deki and Maddison next to him for the whole game. So maybe he didn't have as much protection as Basuma did.
I'm just trying to look at the games that Basuma has played so far this season, because in that specific game, yes, there's a case, but obviously you got to remember in the first half, Basuma was still putting in a really good work, and he was the lone number 6. He played 90 minutes against Ferencvaros as the lone 6, and I think he was pretty good that day. 71 minutes against Karabag. This is just Europa League quality.
10 men though, we're down to 10 men.
True, and he was a monster that game. 82 minutes against Newcastle, which I think he performed pretty well at, and 73 minutes against Everton, and all those games he was the lone 6. So I think that there's a case in this particular game to say what she's saying, and maybe in terms of Bentancur being more consistent than Basuma, which is fair enough, but I think it's important to give Basuma his flowers when he performs well, and I think ever since that balloon situation he's been performing really well.
I agree. When they say, I think Bentancur was scored a lot harder. I think there is a case to say Bentancur could be more disciplined in that role. I think that's fair to say, and I think when he has performed this season in that position, he's maybe had a bit more discipline about him and made less mistakes. But I guess what Basuma gives you on the ball, maybe a bit more in Bentancur, albeit Bentancur on his day, he can turn a player and he can get a pass forward as well. But I feel like Basuma has that bit more quality and invention, I would say, on the ball. But then again, that leads to what May is saying in terms of he can make a few more mistakes than Bentancur usually does as well, which is true. I feel like Bentancur won't make as many mistakes maybe in possession as well as maybe Basuma. Basuma probably loses the ball a bit more than Bentancur. So, but we know when Basuma's playing this well, when he's consistent with it, when he's on top of his game, he's very, very good. It's all about getting those lapses of concentration out of his game and getting him at the top of his game as much as possible.
But it's a really good argument, right? Because we're talking about two players who are on form at the moment. If you take out the Brighton game, because Bentancur weren't great against Brighton, neither was anyone on that pitch, so you got a caveat with that as well. I think you're looking at 2 6s right now where you can deploy in specific games that really suit the strengths that they're going to give to the team. So I think it's a really good problem to have. I think right now I am siding with Basuma a little bit because I think he just gives us that little bit more. But don't get it twisted. I really am enjoying watching both of these players at the moment. So I think it's a really great problem for Ange to have.
Yeah, it does give us great options, yeah. All right. Next one is from Chubb Bates, MH5XP. Loving the names, guys. Great names. He says, I think the best formation in our midfield would be to have apparently he doesn't like to be called Kulu, so we're going to call him Deki. He says apparently the best formation on midfield would be to have Deki cloned and play in all the midfield positions. Come on, you Spurs. Would you like to clone Deki?
I would love to clone Deki. I think Deki... maybe not clone him. Well, maybe, because if you play clone in this, I reckon Deki could do a role in the 6, with that physicality that he does have. So a team of Deki, we used to sing about a team of Robbie Keanes. Now we're going to be singing about a team of Dejan Kulusevskis. So, let's clone him. Why not?
Let's do it. Just Deki being backed up by Deki, I think it would be a formidable midfield 3, I think.
The amount of pressing and ball return, nobody would ever be able to get the ball off us, literally.
Yeah. It'll be like prime Barcelona, that midfield. I tell you, 100%. Jaco1514 says, Ange finally realised Maddison is a fraud, defensive liability. Is that why he got taken off at half time? Is he a fraud?
He's not a fraud. First of all, he was playing well in the first half. We just needed different kind of abilities, and I felt like we were being able to play through the midfield a bit easier, and Sarr gave us those more legs in the midfield. And look, it's fair enough. And I think in a game where we're not coming up against such a physical midfield, that's where you want probably Maddison. But I think it gives us more options now because Sarr, there's been a bit of a, negative lights shone on Sarr a little bit this season, saying he's not performing, he's not the player he was last season, but he's slowly creeping into the season. So I think now you've just got more options again. Like I'm going to say it like the first, when we were talking about Basuma and Bentancur, it just gives us really good headaches to have and maybe different ways that we can go and attack teams. But when you want to go, pedal to the metal, to have Maddison and Kulu, the way they link up with each other is brilliant. I'm loving their kind of relationship on the football pitch. But I think Sarr gave us just something that we needed in that game. But to say Maddison's a fraud, I think that's way over the top.
No, I actually think in general Maddison has been really good this season. And I actually, as you say, I thought first half against West Ham, I didn't have too many problems with his performance, but I think the dynamic just gave us a bit of an issue, which we shored up in the second half and made sure we secured the victory. But I don't think, it's any slight on Maddison that he was the one hooked at half time, because I think, there'll be, probably next game and games going forward, that dynamic's really going to work for us. And I thought in general, we were 1-1 at half time. We could have been in the lead at half time with some of the chances we made in the end of that first half anyway. So we could even be winning come the breaks. I don't think it was a massive problem, but Ange definitely identified something the team was missing, put Sarr in, and it just gives us different options to play with. And I think when you're a manager, that's all you want. You want different players that offer different things, so you can change it up and so you can ask different questions of the opposition. And that's what he did with Pat Martysar coming on at half time. It worked an absolute treat. So I do expect to see Maddison and Deki going forward predominantly, the way they've been playing this season. The fact that we've managed to get them together and it hasn't hurt us too much in general going back the other way is a massive testament to both of those players and to Ange to getting them to fit in that way. But also, if need be, if we do need to get a bit more legs, and we've got other players there as well, maybe sometimes from the start we'll need that as well. But I don't think people should be calling out Maddison just because he went off half-time, because I don't think it was totally down to a performance level.
The reality is that since the injury he sustained last season, he's been nowhere near good enough from that point on until the end of the season. But I think he's really stepped up his game this season. Yeah. I think there's a narrative around Maddison that he's still on bad form, but I think that's completely false. I think he is playing well this season. Mm-hmm. So. And it also, to have the different dynamic of a Sarr and a Maddison to come into the midfield alongside a Deki, it just keeps the opponent second guessing as well. You never know which kind of midfield that we're going to go with.
Exactly. So it's good things. Mr. Wazag says, which stats app is being shown in this video? Well, not this video, but the video that I'm guessing we're breaking down stats. And that was SofaScore. Thank you for bringing up that question, Mr. Wazag. Go and download SofaScore. Link is in the description. We cover all the games with the stats on SofaScore. You got heat maps, average positions. They got all the stats of each individual player broken down as well. So we love the app. We use it every game pretty much. And so go check it out if you haven't already. And if you use our link, it really does help support the channel as well, so I'd really appreciate if you use a link in the description to go download the app. Next one is from Jimmy Costco 5373. He says Solanke was good, but definitely exaggerating, Ben.
This is a player rating. This is the player rating.
I'm guessing.
I was not exaggerating. If anything, I was underplaying it. Dominic Solanke was a phenomenon against West Ham. Some of the touches, some of the dribbling that was on show was absolutely incredible. The guy has been so much better than I expected in terms of all the different facets of his game that he has, all the kind of bows he has to his armory. I think it's brilliant. I think he's so good. I can't rate him enough. I thought before he came, he was just going to be a fox in the box, and that's all he really has to his game. But all these different, and I knew he was a good presser. But apart from that, I think he's so good on the ball. I'm so in awe of how good he actually is on the ball. How many times did he get the ball kind of just outside the centre circle, and a West Ham player and a physical West Ham player would come and engage him, and he'll just do one little jig and that's it. He's off. See you later. They can't get the ball off him, and that's something I just didn't know he had in his locker.
Yeah, he's a much better player than I expected. And to be fair, the Bournemouth fans, when we spoke to him before, were saying he's a real complete forward and he's a real good all-round player. But as you say, I saw some of the goals he scored for Bournemouth last season, and I just thought he was one of these guys, first time finishes in the box. You get the ball into him, and he can get those finishes, which I still think he's very good at. But I think what's really impressed me and a lot of Spurs fans is his ability on the ball in those deeper areas, his hold up play in those areas as well. But I think it's more his ability to turn and take people on and get past players and use his physicality in that way, which has really helped getting the best out of the team and getting the best out of the forward players as well. It's no surprise, since whenever Solanke plays, you definitely see a better Brennan Johnson, you see a better Son, you see whoever's playing on the wing anyway. They seem to be better when he's in the team than when he's not, and I think he's exactly what we've needed in that final third. Someone who can hang on to the ball, but also be a bit of a threat on the turn as well, and be really great with his link-up play, his little flicks around the corner. And I think, his dribbling ability is something that has really impressed me and most Spurs fans as well when looking at him, and that's something that has really been an unexpected surprise, I would say.
Yeah, and you saw it from his first game against Leicester. You saw it come out of there where he was able to get on the ball, go down the channels a little bit and really show off his dribbling ability. I was talking to Daigo on the phone the other day, and we were talking about Solanke, and I was saying, like, I feel like he is that glue to our attack now. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like we'll miss a lot when he's not playing, because I think Richarlison is a good player, don't get me wrong, but you can see Solanke's a level above.
Yeah, his hold up. I think Richarlison has like decent hold up players. I don't think he's awful at it, but I just think Solanke is just like another level. He's I think he's bordering on elite from what I can see. Only in the first few games as well. You still got to remember, he's still so early on in his Tottenham career. He's still got to fully bed into that attack, fully bed into the team, but he's doing a phenomenal job at the moment, and that's really, really delighted to see that.
So do you think I was exaggerating?
I don't think so. Personally,
well, you must have done, because you gave him a 7 and I gave him an 8.
Yeah, maybe slightly. I want to see him obviously get involved in more goal scoring positions. But I think I've said it before. As long as he's doing that kind of job and we're scoring the level of goals and creating level chances we are, if he's not the one getting the goals, I don't really care. And I do think it will come. The longer he plays.
Because there's like a kind of narrative around strikers, isn't it? If you're not getting the goals, you're not really making an impact, and you get clowned upon a little bit. But like, even if Solanke was sitting here. Maybe if he was sitting here with zero goals, we'll be worrying about it. But, he scored 3 goals. If he was sitting here on maybe just 1 goal and he's making the impact that he's making in games, I don't think we'd be worrying too much, because he's contributing so much.
He's got 3 goals and an assist. He's got an assist against Brighton as well. So I think
in the Premier League, 2 goals in the Premier League.
2 goals in the Premier League, 2 goals and assists. So 3 goal contributions in he missed 2 games, so 6 games? I mean, that's 3 goal contributions in 6 games, so it's not bad.
Obviously,
you want when you're comparing it to some of the best strikers like Watkins, Haaland, blah blah blah. It's maybe not that level yet, but it will come. He's only just joined the team, so he's getting the goal contributions anyway. And anyway, you've seen him get previous seasons. Obviously, now you've got Haaland who's obviously bagging monstrous numbers, but you've seen teams compete with strikers who are more there just to set up rather than to be the main goal scorer.
Firmino.
Exactly, Firmino. I mean, I know Havertz is scoring a few goals, but last season, I think his main role wasn't just to be a goal scorer; it was to be more, link to play. Man City won leagues without a proper striker, didn't they? They had like a false 9 in that position.
Not many teams have strikers that score 20+ goals a season.
Look at France as well. When Giroud was playing up front, his role was not to score; it was much more to facilitate Mbappe and other players. So, I'm not saying that Solanke's wrong. I'm just saying you can very much have a successful team with a striker who's not there to score 30 goals a season, albeit. I think Solanke has that potential anyway, so it's fine.
Do you still believe that he'll get over 20 goals this season?
Yeah, I think so.
I
think so.
And where's the back? You made a bet with Lee Judges, didn't you, in the North London derby?
It's currently 4-2 to Havertz
4-2.
in the Premier League, but it's only 8 games in, so I think there's a lot of football to be played, a lot of goals to be scored. Good says, we now have 5 players who are all good enough to be first choice midfielders. Deki, Madders, Bentancur, Sarr and Bissouma. Last season, none of them had the consistency. Now they feel like they have turned a corner.
Yeah, true. But at this point last season, we probably were talking about Bissouma, Sarr, Bentancur and Maddison all in the same light. Kulusevski was our right winger last season, so it's hard to put him in that bracket. So I want to see it over a longer stretch of time to really believe that these guys are the players to take us forward. I've been quite vocal in, talking about Bissouma and Bentancur and our need for a 6. And I'll change my mind once they do it over a much longer stretch of time. I think the sample size is still a bit too small at the moment.
That's fair, but I would say the difference, as you say, first of all, Deki's our midfielder compared to last season when he was a winger. Bentancur obviously was coming out from that big injury and he wasn't fully fit. I think now we're seeing him getting back to his best. I don't think he's fully there yet, but I think he's definitely much better than he was last season. I think that's fair to say. Basuma, yeah, I mean he's playing well now, but he did at times last season, so we need that over a longer stretch.
First 10 games last season, we were saying Basuma's better than Rice.
Yeah, and he has to keep that up. Sarr, you probably would still say most of last season he was better than he has been this season, albeit again he's doing really well. Matters similar. So I do think there are 5 midfielders there who are all good, who are at their best all good enough to start. That's for sure. So that's definitely positive. And hopefully they have turned a corner. I definitely think we're in a stronger position this season than last season. I think I agree with that. But look, I think we're all got PTSD from the fact that we had good 10 games, then it all fell apart. So I think we're just waiting for that not to happen.
It's all well and good having the players that are good enough, and these players are all good enough. It's just about consistency. If these guys can find consistency throughout a season, then I have no doubt that they'll be fine.
Yeah, and I think they can do it. Roger Payne 5336 says, at this point in time, not a lot to say really. We beat I think this is in response to the match review. We beat the Hammers, job done. As the others have said, consistency is key, so the focus has shifted to the next opponent already. Serious teams don't dwell on individual victories, but look ahead to who next, please. This is the mentality of winners in my estimation. Having said all that, big up to Deki, Basuma, Son, all killers for the day. Ange gets a small mention as the gaffer, I guess. Stiffer test of his newfound tactical nous to come. Still, we take the points and move. Come on, you Spurs.
He has a lot to say for someone who said there was not a lot to say really.
Not a lot to say, but a big paragraph here to say. Are you already thinking about the next game, or are you still basking in the glory of the West Ham win?
First of all, what he's saying, it seems like it's geared more to the club and the players and the manager, more to the fans. The fans have every right to dwell on a great London derby victory, but once the next game comes along, then that game's gone, and you need to enjoy the next game. But as a club and as a team and as the players and the manager, yes, 100%. Once they get off that football pitch, you start to focus on the next game. I completely agree with that.
And I think there's a point there, because Brighton, you could probably say we were guilty of just getting too ahead of ourselves, weren't we, at half time, thinking the game's won, and that was within the game even. We were probably thinking of the next game. Yeah. And so hopefully they've learned that lesson. But yeah, obviously brilliant win on the weekend. JCKZ3UT says, oh, come on, fella. Oh, this is in response to me doing my post-match reaction in a car with my uncle. He says, come on, fellas, don't know which part of London you live in, but driving to the ground, seriously, I grew up in Golders Green, so it's a pain to get east, but even I didn't bother with the North Circular.
Well, we didn't grow up far from Golders Green either, so... Look,
he's having got us for going on the North Circ.
Were you on the North Circ when you were doing the post-match reaction?
No, I was by the ground. I was by the ground on the post-match. I was just where the disabled parking is. I was just there. He's having go at us for driving. We shouldn't be driving to the ground, though.
You're not having a go at me. He's having a go at you.
Yeah, well, you don't drive. You never drive to the same.
Not in that particular video, I didn't.
Look, I drove to the ground. I don't know what the big deal is. I don't know why you felt the need to comment that, but I understand that you're more likely to take the train. There is a lot of traffic on the North Circle on way to Spurs. I give you that. So we do usually take some back streets, maybe go through Alexandra Palace, that kind of area. I did drive to the game, and I'm not sorry about it, I guess.
Come on, Sim. This guy lives in Golders Green. He's never driven to the game.
He doesn't bother with the North Circ. Daniel Hackett says, Solanke is such an effective player even when he doesn't score. Yeah, we covered that, but I think it's a very good comment, because I think, as we've said, like, strikers are very much judged, aren't they, on their goal contributions, and sometimes it definitely goes under the radar how much they contribute when they haven't scored. And I think Solanke deserves a lot of praise for how he contributed to the game on Sunday, even without getting on the score sheet.
Yeah, I can't wax lyrical about Solanke enough, but I think I did that a bit too much in the comment before, as people said I'm getting too ahead of myself. So I'll just leave it as Solanke. I think Solanke is a phenomenon. I'm going to leave it at that.
And the last one is A-Dogs, I think, says, I think having some fresh legs in the centre is just smart management, simple as that. Nothing wrong with Madder's performance, just a good game management from Ange. I think Ange has come a long way in working out how to use his players in the kind of system he wants to play. Definitely going the right direction. Deki's first touch is one of the best in the league. I think it's an aspect of his game that has gone under the radar. He can do amazing things when given a difficult pass, always makes the perfect receive and turn. That's a great point, because a lot of the time he's receiving the ball, in difficult situations, isn't he? Players, behind him, and he's got to know when to turn, and he has to have appreciation for where people are on the pitch. And so often he comes away with the ball, doesn't he? And not only comes away with it, but he advances the ball, he progresses it, gets it into space. And I think his first touch is definitely something that deserves a lot of praise.
I've noticed that about Solanke as well.
And Solanke, agreed. Yeah, he's got very good in those aspects.
So when they're crowded out, I mean, they can just wriggle their way out, or just use their physicality to physically impose themselves on opponents. And it's such a great tool to have in our armoury. Yeah,
and it's something we just didn't have last season, because obviously Deki on the wing and Solanke wasn't at the club. And, a lot of the times it was either a Charlatan or Son up front, who, let's be honest, are just not the same as Solanke with their back to goal. And in the centre, a lot of the times it was mostly Sarr or a half-fit Bentancur in the number 8, and they're just not on the same level as Deki in those tight spaces, and also good at advancing the ball and appreciating the space. So I think that's a massive evolution of the team, having those two players in central areas. In terms of Ange, I think he is evolving, and he's learning, and he's doing different things. I think that last season he was doing it as well, but I think because sometimes he wasn't getting the results at those points when he was trying new things, he didn't get the credit for it. Now he is getting the credit, because obviously we got the win on Sunday. But he always said he sticks to his principles. He wants to play his way, but within that there is flexibility, and
of course,
he's showing that.
Yeah, of course, and I think he's shown it in many different aspects when it comes to the set pieces, when it comes to the inverted fullbacks. So there are many different ways that he's shown this kind of flexibility so far. So this kind of narrative about Ange doesn't tweak things, Ange doesn't change things, he's going to do the same thing every single time, is complete nonsense. Complete nonsense. And Spurs are most definitely going in the right direction. But in terms of what he's saying about Maddison, in terms of nothing wrong with Maddison's performance and about taking him off and stuff, a lot of people called into the fan show, I think Daigle said it, and a couple of others, saying, Maddison was a disgrace when he went off. And I saw him sulking a little bit on the sidelines when they panned him with his hood up and shoulders slumped and everything. But I mean, you're always going to be pissed off when you're taken off at half time, especially if you're someone of Maddison's stature within this squad.
Yeah, and he probably felt like he was playing well. He probably didn't feel like he was a problem. He was creating chances, and also the fact that the game was a 1-1, and he probably feels like he's the best creator in the team, and if they're going to get a goal, he feels like he's probably best suited to creating it or scoring it. And at that situation, he probably feels like, why is the manager taking me off? It's a bit annoying. But when he sees how the team played in the second half, I don't think he can say the manager got it wrong. So obviously he's going to be a bit annoyed in that situation, but I don't think long term there'll be any problems with it.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be problems long term. But if you're vice captain and a leader within this team, do you think it's right to set an example like that for the younger players if you get taken off, and to show a bit of an attitude like that?
I mean, I don't know if I was just I don't know when that picture of Maddison was taken. I don't know if it was just after half time or it was halfway through the half or when it was. But obviously, look, he was a bit frustrated at being taken off, but I'm sure he was just as happy as anyone that we went and won the game. And I don't think it was a case of him showing a bad attitude. I just think he wants to play and he wants to be on the pitch. And when he's not doing that, and especially in that situation when he's playing well, he will be a bit frustrated with the situation. But I don't think it's a case of him setting a bad example, because I don't think it's. I don't know for a fact, but I doubt he was just sitting there the whole second half sulking. I just think it was probably just after half time and when it just happened.
All right, well, there you have it. Those are the comments that we have that we are going to react to this episode. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and get your comments in, because we will be recording another episode probably next week. But thank you everyone for joining us today, guys. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.